Hi, I'm Tristan, and this is Thinking About Politics. So today, we're thinking about that Arizona partisan review of the 2020 ballots in Maricopa County right now. We posted a couple videos last week, and we've gotten such a strong response that we feel duty-bound to stay on this topic a little more. It seems like there's a lot of confusion out there about what's going on in Maricopa County, what's not going on, and how people come across their information. And there did seem to be some controversy, people think that it is a partisan statement to suggest that what's happening is really a big fraud. It's a big scam being perpetrated on the American people, and especially on the conservatives who believe some of this stuff. It is not a partisan statement. I just want to suggest to you that what we're doing is we're giving you objective facts. We're giving you the facts best as we can see them. The overwhelming majority of the coverage of this thing has been negative. If you look up any reputable source, newspapers, independent news organizations, nonprofits, folks who don't necessarily have a partisan bend, you really come away with the idea that, yeah, there is no basis for this review, there was no evidence of fraud, and that the folks conducting this review really don't know what they're doing and aren't really engaging in a good faith effort to shore up election integrity or to make people feel better about the results. I mean, look, try to find a news source that backs you up. I think it's going to be very hard to do. By any honest measure, there is a lot of information out there talking about how this audit is a fraud. And a lot of this information is coming from reputable news sources. News sources you've heard of, news sources you know. Are they perfect? No. But they are the legitimate, neutral sources, or the sources at least trying to be neutral. You could read any number of them. But today, let's focus on this article that I found on the Arizona Republic's website, AZ Central, on June 1st, 2021. It's by Jen Fifield, and, Jen's pretty well situated here. She's a native of Maricopa County. She's studied journalism. Her work has appeared on sources like the PBS's NewsHour, which, for me, that's the gold standard of news right there. She's on the ground now, and she's been covering this topic extensively. So, she's knowledgeable, she's trained, she's a local, she knows the people, she knows the places, she knows the situations. If you're going to trust anybody, hey, look, this is a pretty objectively decent source to start with here. She's definitely more knowledgeable than me. And if you think you're more knowledgeable than her, well, please let us know in the comments below. I honestly want to hear your insights here. Now, the article notes that there is strong disapproval for what's going on in Maricopa County, although some folks support it, and that calling this an audit is at very least controversial. Some folks disagree. It's not an audit, according to many of those watching. It doesn't meet the formal criteria, they say. A better description would be a review or investigation, or, from some perspectives, grift or clown show. Some have taken to calling it a fraudit. Fraudit, that's cute. I'm going to use that. But many supporters of what the Arizona Senate's contractors are doing say that this is an audit and should be called one. They believe that the multiple tests the county did before this to verify its election results should not be called audits. So, no surprise there. Partisanship, huh? Old. It's pretty old. So, okay, people on both sides are arguing both ways. But aren't there, professional auditors? People who do this, for a living? Can we ask them what's going on? Their opinion is going to be more than regular old folk like me. On this measure? Well, yes. Yes, there are. Most certified auditors contacted by the Arizona Republic, including accountants, internal auditors, and forensic auditors, say that this is not an audit. Or at least, it doesn't appear to be following the generally accepted standards for one from the outside. Professional auditors are impartial and objective, for example. They try to maintain a healthy working relationship with the entity that they are auditing, and they do not release results early, said Laura Long, a former auditor for the Arizona Office of the Auditor General. None of this has been the case for the Senate contractors, she said. Auditors typically have professional certifications and follow certain standards in their field, such as International Professional Practices Framework or government auditing standards, which outline ethics and responsibilities, such as being objective. Auditors' objectivity in discharging their professional responsibilities is the basis for the credibility of auditing in the government sector, according to the government standards, otherwise known as the Yellow Book. Objectivity includes independence of mind and appearance when conducting engagements, maintaining an attitude of impartiality, having intellectual honesty, and being free of conflicts of interest. A distinguishing mark of an auditor, the book says, is the acceptance of responsibility to serve the public interest. The book talks at length about integrity, including performing work with an attitude that is objective, fact-based, nonpartisan, and non-ideological with regard to the entity being audited. And yeah, this has not been an unbiased effort by any stretch of the imagination. There hasn't even been the most basic attempt to try to appear neutral or fair. Here's just one example. Former state lawmaker Anthony Kern, a supporter of President Donald Trump, who attended the Stop the Steal rallies and who was at the U.S. Capitol during the Jan 6 insurrection, was among those brought in to recount ballots. Kern was removed days into the recount after media highlighted his involvement. In typical audits, Long said, that's that auditor from the state office earlier, auditors often are screened ahead of time for any conflicts that would prevent partiality, or even the appearance of partiality, before they start working on an audit. And this isn't just an isolated incident. This kind of non-impartial attitude seems to come from the top. Cyber Ninja's CEO, Doug Logan, demonstrated a lack of objectivity by repeating on social media claims of widespread election fraud before the audit began. Logan has said his bias does not matter because of the many contractors with developed processes he's hired. The big question should not be, am I biased, but will this audit be transparent, truthful, and accurate? However, Logan promised no bipartisanship at the recount tables, and there has been a clear partisan effort from Republicans to recruit ballot counters, while Democrats have stayed away. In fairness, there was at least one auditing professional noted in this article who does believe that this is a legitimate audit. The person also happens to be a former state GOP chairman and is involved in the effort leading the communications for the Senate here. The Republic states, at least one auditor by trade believes strongly that this is an audit. He also happens to be helping to run it. Randy Pullen, a former state GOP chairman who is helping the Senate on audit-related communications, is a certified public accountant and a former partner at Deloitte, the national audit and accounting firm. So, I'm not discounting that as evidence. I don't want you to think that I am. However, I do want to point out two things. One, this paper contacted a number of auditors. Only one appears to have said that this is a legitimate audit. Two, that auditor also happens to be from the political party that stands to benefit from this audit if it, happens to reveal a lot of fraud. So that's a conflict of interest right there. He's a former state GOP chairman. He's trying to benefit the GOP. That's an issue. Three, he's also involved in the process. He's running the communication efforts for the Senate. I mean, it doesn't seem like this is we're going to take this evidence, we take it for what it is, but all things considered, these other conflicts mean I think we got to give this evidence less weight than someone who's not connected with this looking at the process and saying this doesn't cut the mustard. It would appear that professional auditors generally don't find this to be a legitimate audit. And there are two more real quick reasons you should recognize that this Cyber Ninja process is a complete sham. One is the complete lack of transparency in the process. And the second is Cyber Ninja's own lack of experience in the field of auditing or elections. While this former GOP chairman, Pullen, says that this review is being conducted according to well-outlined procedures to use documented irregularities as evidence in court, the details regarding what these procedures might be has not been forthcoming. In fact, it took a court case for the public to get detailed documents on what was happening at the Coliseum, and those documents leave questions about the process. So the process is unclear. I know folks are going to try to tell me that it's transparent because there are webcams, but webcams do not mean transparency. Transparency means you can go there, you can talk to somebody about what's going on, they can explain to you what their procedures are. Tell me your procedures. What are you looking for? How are you trying to find it? What do you think it means? You got to give that sort of information. And I don't understand why there are people out there who want me to think that this is some sort of legitimate exercise in election security. Professional auditors don't think this is a legitimate audit. The frauditors who are conducting this thing have no interest in appearing impartial or unbiased, and they're so clueless as to what they're doing, they can't even provide details about their process. That's a bad sign. Oh yeah, and to top it all off, big old cherry on this Sunday, there are Republicans out there going out of their way to knock this thing down, going out of their way to point out that there really is no fraud. County GOP leaders have been clear about what they think of the Senate GOP leaders' endeavor. County Supervisor Chairman Sellers called it grift disguised as an audit, while Supervisor Clint Hickman said he knows audits from helping run his family business, and this is not the way to do an audit. So there's a bipartisan consensus that this is not an audit, that this is a fraud being perpetrated, on the people of Arizona, on America broadly, and really specifically on the people who have bought into this nonsense. You're being taken advantage of, and it's not right. So, that's all I got for now. We're going to be doing more content later this week about this Fraudit. I don't know how to end this one, but if you made it this far, why don't you like and subscribe? Why don't you share this video with somebody who's concerned that there was fraud in the 2020 election? I think we can assuage their fears together. So anyway, I'll see you later on this week. Until next time, keep thinking.